Your brain is lying to you, not because it's broken, but because you are careless, but because it's doing exactly what it evolved to do. Your mind was shaped for a world of predators, small tribes, and constant scarcity. And now it's trying to navigate the stock market, social media, global risks, and infinite choice. What once kept humans alive now quietly sabotages our decisions every single day. This is the story of the mismatched mind and why some of your strongest instincts are no longer trustworthy. The human mind isn't a logic engine. It's closer to an emergency toolkit, fast, efficient, full of shortcuts. Those shortcuts, called cognitive heuristics, evolved to help our ancestors make instant decisions with almost no information. And they worked on the savannah, in small tribes, when hesitation could get you killed. But those same shortcuts are still making decisions today. When we judge plane crashes, scroll social media, invest money, or argue about politics online. They were built for a world of immediate danger and small groups. Now, they're being used in a world of statistics, algorithms, and global systems. That mismatch is the problem. It turns instincts that once kept us alive into predictable errors in the modern world. Let's start with danger. Your brain follows a simple rule. If something is vivid and memorable, it must be likely. That rule once saved lives. If someone ate a berry and died, remembering that story mattered more than calculating probabilities. Psychologists call this the availability heuristic. But today, vividness isn't a signal of importance, it's a signal of attention. Plane crashes, terror attacks, rare diseases. They dominate headlines because they are shocking, and your brain reacts as if they are common. After 9/11, many Americans avoided flying and chose to drive instead. Statistically, that decision caused more deaths from car accidents than the attacks themselves. The brain locked onto one image: airplane equals explosion. Meanwhile, the everyday danger of highways barely registered. Or take shark attacks. Fewer than 10 people worldwide die from them each year, but thousands die from sleeping in bathrooms or falling out of bed. No one fears bathtubs because fear doesn't follow statistics, it follows stories. Another shortcut is our obsession with cause and effect. If A happens and then B follows, the brain assumes A caused B. That instinct once mattered. Clouds gather and rain follows. Someone eats a berry and then gets sick. But in a data-rich world, this instinct misfires. We confuse correlation with causation. A famous example is the vaccine autism controversy. A small, flawed study noticed that autism diagnosis often followed vaccinations in time. The brain instantly formed a story: vaccine causes autism. Decades of large-scale studies disapproved it, but the narrative stuck because stories feel truer than statistics. The same thing happens in finance. You'll hear claims like the stock market drops when this team wins the Super Bowl. It's nonsense, but it feels meaningful. Our brains are deeply uncomfortable with randomness, so we invent explanations. Our ancestors lived in zero-sum tribes. Prestige, food, mate. If someone else got more, you got less. That wired our brains for constant status comparison. Today, that instinct fuels irrational behavior. It's not enough to have a nice car. We need a nicer one than someone else. This isn't vanity. It's ancient survival circuitry firing in the wrong environment. It explains why people go into debt for luxury goods they don't need, and why billionaires still compete for ranking lists. The modern economy has become a perpetual status auction, and our brains are desperate bidders, convinced that relative position matters more than actual well-being. On the savannah, scarcity was real: food, water, shelter. Our brains evolved a scarcity mindset, a hyper-focus on what's missing. That mindset boosts short-term survival, but in a world of abundance, it backfires. In a classic study, shoppers were offered either 6 types of gourmet jam or 24. The larger display attracted more attention, but the smaller one produced 10 times more purchases. Too many options overwhelm a brain built for scarcity. That's why we scroll endlessly on Netflix, why retirement plans cause anxiety, why buying a phone feels exhausting. Our brains freeze when scarcity isn't food, but time, attention, and mental energy. Humans evolved in groups of about 50 to 150 people. Clear boundaries mattered. Us versus them was about safety. That tribal wiring still runs today. Social media and 24-hour news activated constantly. Politics, fandoms, even brands become identities. The result isn't just disagreement, it's emotional polarization. We don't just think the other side is wrong, we feel they're dangerous or immoral. An instinct meant to hold hunting parties together now fractures societies and turns nuance into warfare. Your brain is exceptionally good at recognizing faces. That's not an accident. For our ancestors, quickly judging a face meant survival, friend or enemy, safe or dangerous, trustworthy or not. So evolution wired us to read meaning into facial features, confidence, honesty, dominance, almost instantly. The problem is that instinct never learned statistics. Today, a confident face on TV can feel more convincing than mountains of data. A charismatic founder feels more trustworthy than a spreadsheet. A familiar face feels safer than an anonymous expert. Your brain doesn't ask, is this claim true? It asks, do I trust this person? And that's how faces quietly overpower evidence, even when the evidence is right in front of us. In small tribes, a few examples were enough. If 3 hunters died in one forest, you avoided that forest. But modern life runs on base rates, background probabilities across huge populations, and our brains are terrible at them. Imagine a disease affecting just 0.1% of people. There's a test that's 99% accurate. You test positive, what's the chance you actually have the disease? Most people say about 99%. The real answer is only 9%. The vivid number hijacks attention. The quiet base rate gets ignored. The same illusion drives startup culture. We hear constant success stories, but over 90% of startups fail. We remember the winners, we forget the graveyard. Your brain isn't an accountant. It doesn't treat gains and losses equally. Evolution built it with a defense-first policy. On the savannah, losing your last meal could kill you. Finding an extra meal just meant survival continued. Psychologists call this loss aversion. Losing $100 feels about twice as painful as winning $100 feels good. In the modern world, this turns caution into paralysis. We stay in jobs we hate because a steady paycheck feels safe. We hold on failing stocks to avoid admitting we were wrong. We keep throwing good money after bad. Your brain treats a dip in your bank account like a predator at the door. Avoid the loss first. Opportunities can wait. Nature never rewarded patience, it rewarded survival. If you found honey or a high-calorie kill, you ate it immediately. Tomorrow was uncertain, waiting was a luxury. That wiring still runs today. Psychologists call it hyperbolic discounting. Your brain prefers a small reward now over a much larger reward later. That's why the donut beats long-term health, why scrolling beats studying, why saving for retirement feels abstract. To your ancient brain, your future self is basically a stranger and it sees no reason to sacrifice today for someone it doesn't emotionally recognize. Picture two ancestors. One hears a rustle in the grass and thinks it's probably nothing. The other thinks it might be a lion. Only one of them survives. We are the descendants of the paranoid. This is negativity bias. Bad news weighs more than good news. One insult erases 100 compliments. One crisis overshadows years of calm. Modern media exploits this perfectly. News feeds serve endless rustles in the grass. Scandals, threats, outrage, collapse. We keep scrolling because the brain believes if I stop paying attention, that's when the lion jumps. In a tribe, being right didn't matter, being together did. If everyone started running, the worst move was to stop and think. The loner didn't survive. That instinct is still active. Psychologists call it social proof. But today, the tribe isn't 50 people you trust, it's millions of strangers online. This instinct now fuels market bubbles, moral panics, viral misinformation, and echo chambers. We don't seek truth first, we seek agreement. Because your brain is more afraid of being alone and right than wrong and included. The human mind is powerful, but it was built for survival, not truth. Its instincts were shaped for a dangerous past, not a modern world of data and scale. When something feels urgent or certain, that's often when it's wrong. Because a 50,000-year-old brain was never meant to run the world we live in today. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.